Okay everybody, welcome back to another episode of Midwest Cooking. Today we're going to be doing banana bread. Simple, easy recipe. It's actually my mom's recipe, so credit goes out to her. So what you'll be needing is sugar, all-purpose flour. I use unbleached because, frankly, who wants bleach in their flour? Not me, I don't. So I use unbleached flour. You can use regular if you want. 3 bananas, and I always try to get them when they're a little brown so they kind of mash up easier, but it's kind of up to you. If you don't like your bananas mashed as much in your banana bread, you don't have to. You can get some that are a little bit more yellow. Me and my wife like ours basically like almost pureed. You'll need a loaf pan, baking soda, baking powder, 2 eggs, a stick of butter, and then non-stick spray. But I use the non-stick spray that has flour in it because with banana bread it's super sticky, so it tends to just pop out easier if you use the spray with flour in it. Otherwise you can use the non-stick spray and sprinkle a little flour in there and sprinkle it around the pan, and that'll be more than adequate to help get it out of there. So what we're going to do is we're going to start by mixing the sugar, the butter, 2 eggs, and the 3 bananas in a bowl, and we're going to try to get that all nice and mixed together. However, I always start with the bananas, so we'll start there first. You can use a hand mixer, but I'll be using a KitchenAid, so that's what we're going to start off with first. Alright, so we have our bananas in there, so what we're going to do is we're going to get them kind of mushed up. And while that's going on, we're going to take our 2 eggs, and we're just going to scramble those. You want to do them in a separate bowl, so you make sure that if there's any blood or anything in there that you don't want, you don't wind up ruining your 3 bananas, because usually, like us, we usually wind up making this when you've had a couple bananas laying around, they're about to go to waste. So always do that separate, and then once your bananas start to get mushed up, you can add your eggs in, add your sugar, and then your butter. So we'll start with that here, and we'll kind of fast forward through so you don't have to stand through the whole process. It can take a little while to get all your bananas incorporated in, depending on how hard or soft they might be. Alright, so the bananas are pretty much mush, so what we'll do is we'll go ahead and add our eggs in. Add our sugar in. And then last but not least, our stick of butter, which you want to make sure is at room temperature. You just don't want it really to be melted. So if you're going to stick it in the microwave and cheat sometimes like my wife does, which is fine, just don't overcook it too long. You don't want liquid. And then what you're going to want to do is you're just going to want to let that incorporate together. And once everything's kind of mixed in well, your butter is still going to be a little bit chunky. It's not going to completely go away, but once it's kind of evenly distributed, then you're ready to go. So the next part that we're going to do is we need to combine in a separate bowl 2 cups of flour, a half a teaspoon of baking soda, and a half a teaspoon of baking powder. So while this is mixing, we'll get all of that together in a bowl, and then by the time you get that all together in a bowl, we should be ready to come back and mix everything in there slowly. So as you can see, the butter is slowly mixing in. Probably kick it up on a higher speed, fast forward here for you, so you don't have to sit here and watch it. So this is kind of mixed in pretty well. I'll try to give you a little bit better view of it here. You can see kind of the butter that's on the spatula. That's kind of what you want. Again, it's not going to be fully mixed in, so get it as close as you can, and that'll be fine. So what we're going to do is we're going to put it back on low speed. We have our flour mixture. Again, 2 cups of flour, half a teaspoon of baking powder, and a half a teaspoon of baking soda. So what we're going to do is we're just going to slowly kind of add this in. I've already mixed it together with the spoon, so You can see I opted kind of one for that's got a little bit of a pour spout, so it'll make it a little bit easier. You just want to slowly go. You don't want to dump it in all at once, especially in the KitchenAid, because then you just kind of have flour all over the place. And just let it incorporate. It's not going to be like a bread dough. For those of you that might be thinking that, it's not. It's going to be a very moist, wet dough. So you just kind of slowly add this in, let it mix all up together. And then once it's all mixed together, you're going to put it in the oven for an hour at 350. So if you haven't preheated your oven already, you're going to want to go ahead and preheat your oven to 350. So while that's mixing, you can wait for your oven to get preheated. I'm going to grab a spatula here. We're going to let this mix. And even though the KitchenAid does a really good job of mixing everything together, I still like to pop it up and scrape the sides down. Make sure you kind of get all the little stuff off of there. And sometimes just double check and scrape the spatula as I drop the spatula on the floor. So just let that finish mixing for a minute or two. Make sure everything's incorporated. Then we'll get it in the pan. Alright, so our banana bread is ready to go in the pan. So we're just going to put it in with the spatula. We'll go the opposite way here so you can actually see. And again, I've sprayed my pan with a non-stick spray that has flour incorporated into the spray, just so it doesn't, so it releases a little bit easier, because this is going to be sticky. It's one of the more sticky bread recipes that you probably can make. So just try to get every little amount you can out of there. And what you want to do is just kind of flatten it out. Make sure it's even as best you can. Doesn't need to be super perfect, but that's what you want to have it look like. So what we'll do now is, our oven is preheated to 350. It needs to go in for an hour. So at an hour we'll come back and check it and show you what the finished product looks like. Alright, so here is our banana bread after an hour. Looks all good. We're just going to take a toothpick and put it in the middle. Just make sure it comes out clean, not that it's doughy at all. And as you can see, she's come out nice and clean. So next part is, now we're going to want to get it on a cooling rack, and it's going to cool for a couple hours before we decide to put it away. You can just store it in a Ziploc bag. So hopefully our spray worked well. As you can see, it did. Looks good. Now again, you can cook it, maybe if you don't want it as dark as I have it here, you could cut it off a little bit longer. And again, it's going to depend on your oven. We have a gas oven, so some of your electric ovens might run a little bit hotter. So you maybe want to turn it down. I also ran it on convection, so some ovens that don't have convection might take an hour, might take a little bit longer. A lot of little variables when it comes to making banana bread, or even baking in general. So feel free to let us know what type of oven you use on this banana bread recipe, and give us a comment below. Let us know how it turned out for you, or what you thought of the recipe that we made. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button for us so you can see all of our other new videos that we come out with. Thanks a lot for watching.